He's here for your questions. I know sometimes it takes a few minutes to find one's words. Ah.
Yes,
Okay.
Did you talk about the casting, how you found the boys?
The two Abdellahs?
Yeah.
I started with the old one. I found him almost 3 years before starting shooting in Paris. He's Moroccan, but he lives in Paris. And he was the first actor I auditioned. I asked him to come to the place where I live, in Paris, and he rang. I opened the door, I knew it was him. He is very actor studio, but he had to destroy that because he wanted specific answers, precise answers to what he was thinking about the character. But the Abdellah in the film, there is nothing clear about him. There is no sure answer about who he is, what he will be doing. Is he a good character or bad character? So mainly the work with him was to maintain him in this ambiguity, not black, not white. The young Abdellah, I had first an actor that I found, I think more than 3 years, and I went to see his family, and they were okay. But when we did a meeting between him and other actors and other people who will play the film, it didn't work at all. So we had to ask the director of casting to go into the streets of Casablanca and ask him to bring me all the boys of that age, 15 something year, to bring them to. And we were very, very lucky to find Saïd, because the first time we saw him, I was with my producer. She's here, Marianne Luciani, and we immediately felt there is something. And the first thing he said that he wanted to be an actor since he is 7. Because in real life, he is like any other teenager, full of life, laughing and doing sweet, bad things. But when you say action to him, he became this. I didn't have to tell him about the distance, because he's too young to explain things to him intellectually. But this distance, it came from him. And that's the magic about cinema. It's like you wrote the scene, you prepared it for many, many, many years in your head, but you cannot be sure that it will be created as you hope. And suddenly you find a boy in the streets of Casablanca, and he is the best ever. For the sisters, it was the same thing. For instance, for the sisters, they were coming from the same neighborhood. He is living in Casablanca. And with all these people, and that's what I said yesterday, I had no problem with them regarding the theme of homosexuality. Maybe because it's cinema and it's something big and important, but everything I was talking about them, and it is in film, they knew about it in the reality. And to direct them, I didn't have to explain the scenes. We were just like, we had so many couscous and tagines together, and we created this family before the shooting. So during the set, it was just, I tell them, like this, like your neighborhood, like that. I didn't want them to have like ideas about the scene, but to found the scene in themselves. And like this, and for instance, when they were not okay with some words, no problem, they could change it, etc. It was really fascinating for me, and very, very, very moving, because actors are great human beings. They give more than talent, they give something from themselves to the film. They sacrifice something. And during the set, we don't have enough time for them. That's why well.
Is there any other significance to the name of the film, Salvation Army, other than the fact that that is intended as a story?
The question is whether there's any other significance to the title of the film, Salvation Army, besides the scene.
So the book, first of all, is named Salvation Army. So we enter in the film in a time that we think it's the present, the beginning of the film. And at the end of the film we understood, I hope you understood that the beginning of the film was the past. And somehow, and I hope you got that, and even if you didn't get it, it's not a problem, it's the last scene of the film. It's the way I wrote it, the way I wanted it to be, it's like when the other Moroccan is singing the song, which is the same one we hear in the beginning. Suddenly, just the fact to hear this song, which is very, very, very mythical in the Arab world, sung by a huge and magnificent singer, Abdel Halim Hafiz.
Yeah, the Frank Sinatra of the Arab world,
Yeah.
and the song is from a film, actually. It's
أيام
from a film,
وليالي.
yeah. And أنا لك على طول means I am yours forever. So it's a love ballad. And it's very well known, yes.
It's very well known, and it's in this statue of mythical in the Arab world. I mean, everyone in the Arab world knows about it, but it's not. It never, although it's so popular, it's never. I mean, you never get bored, get tired of it. It's that kind of songs. So when the other guys sing the song, so I hope that all what we have seen before is coming from that moment when the hero is putting his head down and suddenly something else. So so it's because it's like the whole film is coming from that location, Salvation Army. And plus, I love the name Salvation and Army in one
The association.
The association, an army for salvation. I love this as it's poetic. I find it.
How do you get to this? Is your first one? Yes. How do you get to the word first?
The question is, if it's Abdallah's first, considering it's Abdallah's first film, how come he was able to work with a mythical DP, Agnes Godard?
Well, I guess it's coming from that naive love for images, and especially the Egyptian films. And really, it's naive because cinema is about intellect, because you have to make so many decisions. But although it's so intellectual, at some point you have to forget about that. And I'm telling you this because the images that influenced me the most are the Egyptian cinema.
It's kind of like mainstream cinema that was for everybody. So it's not nouvelle vague cinema, basically. It's
populaire.
Yeah, it's like Billy Wilder and Frank Capra, and
Yeah, that kind of movie that we used all the time to be showed on Moroccan TV. So the fact that I had that possibility to watch them, it's constructed something. I was going to say pure, although there are a lot of things not pure in this film. But I'm telling you this because this is the first thing I told Agnes Godard when I met her. I didn't want to come to meet her with French references of cinema in my head, because I'm not French and I know a little bit of theory, but I don't master it. And I think it's always good to go back to that naive period where things entered into you. So I told her that maybe that's that seduction work on her.
You seduced Agnes Godard?
No, but first she said, I read the screenplay and we'll see. So she read the screenplay and she said yes, and of course I'm very lucky, because she said yes, and especially she didn't know Morocco, and she accepted to go with me to specific, very precise locations in Morocco, not the general idea of Morocco, but
yeah, working class neighborhoods in Casablanca, not gorgeous resorts in Marrakesh.
Yeah, but especially specific street, specific house, and kind of hammam. And she had a lot of problems to find the right lighting. And yeah, it was war with her, of course. But we were both. But it's a good war, believe me. I would love to be again and again in war with her on the same set. Because if there is something I'm proud of from this film, it's the quality of the images. For me, it's an honor that she accepted to follow me in something that intimate and that, that true for me. And during that process, she found something else for herself. Because I guess a cinematography director can't give this quality of image if it doesn't speak to her. And this is what is interesting in cinema and working with the cinematographer. It's this dialogue, although it's not her story, but it has to become her story to find what is happening in her and in her life, her story, in order to do that. Although she doesn't know about this world. And that is, I think that's where cinema is, in this thing happening between the two of us that we can talk about and we can fight about, and in order to have this. Yes,
yes, I'm sure the book, which I have not read, you also in the book go to Geneva.
Yes.
Was that must have been a very difficult decision to make for producers. That can't be a cheap place to shoot a movie.
The question is over the choice of going to Geneva, because for a small production it can be a backbreaker.
Well, the title is Salvation Army. I had producers, an army. So I had 4 producers for this film with small money. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the money. It's $1 million. It's for the whole. Maybe, I don't know if it seems a lot, but it is not a lot at all. It's because the film is in 2 countries, and so it's a lot of sacrifices from the technicians, and even from Agnes Godard. A lot of people came with me in this project, and we didn't have enough. For instance, in Geneva, we have now money for the lighting. No,
They had no money to pay for the lighting.
So the lighting you see in Geneva is invented on the set by what is the light in real life. So that to give you the genius of Agnes Godard, how she.
That scene in the university.
Yeah, that little bit of work. Yeah, but we didn't. Yeah. Well, she's a genius. What can I say? And she is sweet, tough, warrior, hard, and a great human being. Yeah, really, because to make films is, and I think you know all this, is nothing easy at all. If you're not prepared to war, don't make films.
Well, we love to watch films here. So. We only have to stand in line and have the website running. I think I want to ask the last question. I had the privilege of spending a few hours with Mr. Taïa when I saw the film, and I wanted to get to know him. But I want him to share these privileged stories with you. When you first went to Paris, you did not want to become a novelist. Can you just talk a bit about this long journey?
Yes, so...
He's always wanted, yeah.
Yeah, so I became a writer. I published several books, I think 8 or 9. But the Egyptian cinema, again, I don't know if you really know how the Arabs are influenced by Egypt first, and by the cinema and the songs of Egypt. It's a huge influence, and all Arabs adore, really venerate all this artistic production. So in Morocco in the 80s, with Hassan II, the king at the time, it was a lot of political problems, not a lot of freedom. For me, freedom, it was these actresses in Egypt cinema, some stars, and I didn't actually saw them as stars, but the fact that they had some freedom in their bodies, the way they
danced,
the way they were daring, they were daring, they were doing things nonsense things, but these nonsense things were happening in our TV. They were arriving in the room where I was living with my sisters and my mother, like in the scene and the film. And I think the dream of to be filmmaker came from that, because those images were so much talking about me, about life, about love, about sex, that I wanted to put my life in those images. And I think that's what I did during many years. It's the fact that we were poor meaning even in terms of the possibility to have movies to watch. It's the 80s. We have only Moroccan TV, one channel, from 6 to 11:30. So the film you have to wait it like once a week, and sometimes more. And that time where you are waiting, and I think you keep rethinking about these images you saw in that film. And I think cinema for me, it's here. It's this ability. You see film, you think that you understood very well, and the second day you understand that you didn't understand everything, etc., etc. And you keep thinking and seeing things, and that's why earlier I said that cinema is not only intellectual. It's something that entered here and it's created something. And I hope this film will haunt you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Abdellah. Thank you, Marion.
Thank you very much.
If you like the film, vote.
Thank you very much.